Hello. It's really late. I should go to bed, but I'm just uploading a video, so I'm gonna wait for that to happen. And I thought I'd just quickly talk about Suicide Squad because I just got back from seeing that. I don't ever like talking about stuff that's bad just to be like, this is bad. But what's frustrating about Suicide Squad is it's really easily fixable, and it sort of relates to the what was the problem with Batman versus Superman as well. There's a fundamental thing in screenwriting, and not just screenwriting, storytelling. And this is why I thought this might be interesting. And it's the inciting incident, or the call to adventure, I suppose sometimes it's called, or it's the thing that happens at the beginning that kicks off the story. It's a shark turning up and eating someone. It's I think it's some other films. Yeah, that's the only one. Jaws is the only one that uses it. I'm too tired to think of more examples. But think of any story. There will be a thing that happens at the beginning. The beginning of any story, you set up the world. This is the world we live in. These are the people who live in that world. This is normal, real life. Then usually in the first 10 minutes, something happens to that changes it. That's that. It's in storytelling. It's in Bible stories. It's in fairy tales. It's in folk tales. That's standard. It's not just a film thing. And you can break that rule if you want. You can. I'm not saying that you sort of have to stick to rules, but it's a pretty big one. If you're going to break it, then you better really know what you're doing by breaking it. And I'm not sure Suicide Squad did. And so the problem with Suicide Squad is that the inciting incident is superheroes existing. So it's Superman existing essentially. It's Man of Steel. So the inciting incident is another film that came out a few years ago. You could say that the inciting incident is Batman vs Superman, but really, Man of Steel's also the inciting incident for Batman vs Superman. That's what the problem with that film as well. But here it's even more of a problem because at least in Batman vs Superman, we see the inciting incident happen again. We see Superman knock a building down. The film is about Superman. He's in the title, so we're a bit closer to it. In Suicide Squad, we don't see it happening. We just kind of hear about it. And yes, we understand that we live in a world, in the world of the sort of DC universe, superheroes exist, and that might be a problem for government type people. We also know that because of Civil War, I suppose, even though, crossing over into Marvel, as an audience, we kind of understand the kind of language of superhero films. But the problem is, because we don't see the inciting incident, it doesn't feel like anything happens. The first sort of, I'd say half an hour, but it felt like an hour. It felt like the first half of the film, and maybe it was the first third, probably in reality, is putting this gang together. It's Dirty Dozen, putting the gang together, Magnificent Seven, all those things. Except in those other films, you start with a problem. You start with, we have to go over. Magnificent Seven is a great example, and fitting because there was a trailer for the remake. Magnificent Seven, you start with, here's the village, here's the gang of bandits coming to the village, being mean. We've got a problem. What are we going to do? We're going to go and find someone to sort it out. In Suicide Squad, there is no problem at the beginning. There's a sort of kind of an ideological problem. There's this, a sort of theoretical problem. Superheroes could be bad, and then what do? We better come up with a plan. So it's a film that starts with people coming up with a plan, and that's where it goes wrong, really, because it does something that a lot of films do, and this is where I think actually the kind of laws of screenwriting do kind of trip people up sometimes, the laws, but sort of screenwriting techniques, I suppose, because the problem comes. There's this idea that the problem has to come from within your established characters, and because they set up so many characters, the problem it's like the thing they do in both versions of Fantastic Four that I think is a mistake of having Doctor Doom on as part of the team. And the reason they do that is because we set up this world with these characters. It's about them. We need to have the villain become part of their story that we're telling in an hour and a half, so he has to be in the team. And Suicide Squad makes that same mistake where the problem then comes from within it's effectively started by them setting up the team. It's so easily fixable, and yet it has such massive consequences throughout the film because there are so many points in the film where characters are just standing around. We know there's a big problem somewhere as the audience because we've seen it. The characters don't know, so they don't have any motivation. What are we doing here? What are we watching? We're watching these characters who don't really know what's going on, with no real goal or purpose. Like, I don't know. It's yeah, and it would have been so easy to fix if they just moved something that happened a bit later back by about 20 minutes. It would have been fine. That wouldn't have solved everything, but it would have solved 90% of the problems. It would at least have given it a sort of through line. Yeah, there are other issues I won't talk about because I'm sure everyone else will. I thought it was interesting from a screenwriting point of view, and so if you are interested in writing, sometimes it's more useful. You kind of learn more from watching bad films, or not bad films necessarily, but films where people get it wrong, than you do from watching stuff where people get it right. Because if people get it right, it's harder to see the joins. That's the thing. Like, I think Civil War was a really good film because you couldn't see the joins. You couldn't necessarily see someone going through a screenwriting book and saying, right, this happens here and this happens here, and that makes it harder to learn from. I'm just rambling now because it's done. Cool. Okay. Thanks very much. Bye.